Tonight, taming the Rainham volcano. For years, residents have lived with polluted air from fires at this toxic dump. Now it's officially been declared contaminated. Hopes those responsible will be forced to act.
The fact is now the council have to do something about it, so they will have to engage with the landowner to see if they can get a plan to clean it up.
Also ahead, chaos and disruption on the Northern Line as engineers are forced to talk trains through the tunnels. A cyclist injured in a collision calls for greater protection from e-bike companies. And why this year's autumn colours are more spectacular than ever. Good evening. It's been smouldering for years with pollution spewing over nearby homes. And almost every week, fire engines are called to put out flames at Launders Lane in Rainham. Residents complain the air is too toxic to breathe and has led to a host of health problems. Now, a High Court review has allowed the site to be officially declared contaminated. That could pave the way for the local council to take action to get the so-called Rainham volcano under control. Here's our correspondent, Simon Harris.
Autumn has arrived in Rainham, and for residents and firefighters, it's a welcome breathing space. Fires in the toxic dump on Launders Lane are at their worst during summer when they deposit a layer of smoke over the neighbourhood.
It can exacerbate respiratory conditions, and indeed there's evidence that it causes those as well as a plethora of lifelong health conditions.
The smouldering illegal landfill has been a long-term menace. Madeline's elderly parents, Anne and Les, live opposite the site.
Sometimes they say they can't even see the other side of the road because the thick black toxic smoke is that thick. It's really affected their health. They're 75 and 83, and my dad's got asthma, my mum's got COPD.
No one can be certain what horrors are buried beneath the surface, but arsenic, lead and asbestos are known to be among the lethal deposits. Now, in a change of policy following a court case, the local council, Havering, has agreed to formally designate the site contaminated land.
Now the council have to do something about it, so they will have to engage with the landowner to see if they can get a plan to clean it up. If the landowner won't do what is necessary, then the council can actually go onto the land, clear it up themselves and then try and recoup the cost from the landowner direct.
That could be a very long, not to mention costly process, so the council is looking at an interim solution.
On a temporary basis, what we're putting forward is to basically have a sort of what they call a sort of polymer coating of the land, which effectively would stop the fires, not permanently, but probably for 2 to 3 years.
In the last 3 years, firefighters have been called to Launders Lane 160 times. Little wonder it's known locally as the Rainham volcano. Simon Harris, ITV News.
There appears to be no end in sight for frustrated commuters trying to use the Northern Line. Since Sunday evening, there have been severe delays, cancellations and suspensions because of a problem near Stockwell Station. Well, Sangeeta Kandola is there now. Sangeeta, how's this evening's commute going?
Well, Carolyn, 3 days in and there are still severe delays on the Northern Line. Why? Well, it's all down to a signal failure here at Stockwell Tube Station. Now, signal failures are generally very common. They're normally quite quick to fix, but for some reason, it's proving quite complex here. Now, today, TfL say it may not be until later this week the problem is actually fixed. And that has been a real headache for commuters.
Wrecked, arrive at work half an hour late, quarter of an hour, half an hour late every day.
All sorts of people with different abilities, they need seats and it's all packed and like no one can sit down. So I'm just stood there like trying to leg it, get upstairs so that there's more space for everyone.
It's been pretty frustrating. I mean, obviously like yesterday I asked for assistance to see what they could do like about the journey, to see if they could redirect me. If you're doing the Northern Line, it's a nightmare, just avoid it.
Well, TfL have, of course, apologised. They say in a statement, we have identified a fault with the signalling equipment around the Stockwell area. That means our service controllers need to manually talk trains through this part of the network. They say our engineers are working hard to identify and fix the fault. Now, they are advising people, of course, to allow extra time for those journeys, and they say they have to even use alternative routes. So tomorrow, the problems are likely to persist.
Oh dear. OK, thanks very much indeed, Sangeeta. The mother of baby P, who died after months of abuse in 2007, has told her parole hearing she would be a risk to children in her care. Tracy Connolly was jailed in 2009 for causing or allowing the death of her son Peter at her home in Tottenham. Well, Kath O'Patter was at the parole hearing. And Kath, you've got quite an insight into this notorious case, haven't you?
Yes, indeed. Well, this is the first time Tracy Connolly has spoken publicly since her conviction. There were some tears, but for the most part, she spoke very frankly. Carolyn, we know the awful story of what happened to baby P, the injuries he suffered, the abuse he suffered. Abuse strongly believed to have been carried out by Tracy Connolly's boyfriend, Stephen Barker. In her testimony, Tracy Connolly accepted that she was a bad mother. She hit her children, she slapped them, she ignored signs of baby P's abuse because she wanted to keep her Prince Charming, who in this case was Stephen Barker. She said deep down she knew what was happening, who was doing this, but she lied and did nothing because she was selfish.
And Tracy had been let out of prison before. Why did she return?
That's right. Twice she's been let out of prison. Twice she's been recalled. Twice for failing to disclose a relationship. She was meant to do that. The first was an online relationship. She didn't disclose it because she thought it wasn't a real relationship, and so she didn't have to. The second was a physical relationship. She didn't disclose it because she said she didn't trust her probation officer. She was asked point blank, what's different this time? Why should we trust you this time? She said that now she knows she has to be open. She has to be honest with her probation team.
So what does she plan to do if she's released?
Well, the thing the parole board had to consider is whether or not she's a risk to the public, particularly children, given what happened to baby P. She said she does see herself as a risk to children under her care, but she'll avoid that ever happening. She said she's not going to enter any relationships where children can come under her care. If she does enter any relationships, she will tell her parole officers. In terms of her own children, she's not allowed to contact them. She won't contact them unless they reach out to her. It's down to the parole board to decide whether or not they'll release her, and we should find out in 2 weeks.
OK, thanks very much indeed, Kath. Now, a man has been jailed for 12 years and banned from driving for 18 after killing a woman in a 140 miles per hour crash on Christmas Day in 2022. Evan Ford from Bedford was behind the wheel of a black Mercedes when he crashed into the back of a BMW in Brent Cross. 22-year-old Maria Carolina do Nascimento, who was a passenger in the BMW, died at the scene. Heathrow is one step closer to expanding after the government launched a review into how it will consider plans for a third runway. Transport Secretary Heidi Alexander has already committed to making a decision on expansion within this Parliament, with the ambition for a new runway to be in use by 2035. Eurostar has announced a fleet of double-decker trains will be coming to London for the first time. It said it will buy up to 50 two-storey electric trains for use across its entire network, including the St Pancras route to Paris, Brussels and Amsterdam. Now, they were two teenagers whose deaths from allergic reactions were entirely preventable. In the case of Hannah Jacobs, a hot chocolate which contained milk; for Natasha Ednan Laperouse, a baguette with sesame seeds. Now, the girls' families have joined forces campaigning for changes to the way allergy deaths are recorded. Vital, they say, to truly understanding how many people are dying unnecessarily. They've been speaking to Helen Keenan.
Want to make sure their daughters are always with them.
And initial, we call her Annie at home. Outside, they call her Hannah.
I carry this necklace, which has the letter N initial for Natasha's name.
Natasha and Hannah both died after having severe allergic reactions. Hannah was 13 when she died. After drinking dairy, she was mistakenly served at a coffee shop in Barking.
To see your child lifeless on the floor, and you're thinking, hold on a minute, this is actually a dream. Till today, I still think I'm living in a dream. That's not happened. That she's still here walking about. She'll just walk up the door and just go, sorry, Mom. That is how I'm living my life at the moment. We're in pain, we're suffering, and nothing has been done about it, and nobody cares. Which is the sad part of it, because I guarantee you something is going to happen again.
Their families are calling for the way allergy deaths are recorded to change, something Natasha's mum has long campaigned for, forging Natasha's law to protect others with food allergies with clearer food labelling.
We'd like every allergy death to have an inquest. We do know families where young people have died out of the blue from anaphylaxis and there has been no inquest at all. And then we really do need all these inquests to be actually recorded in a central database, a national database in the country, because unless we can actually look at the data, unless we can look at the reasons of how and why this is happening, we can't help people.
National databases like this do exist in other countries. Dr. Georgia Richards has this week released a report into the benefits and has created her own version.
There's about 75 coroner areas across England and Wales. That information is sitting in the offices. What we'd need is to amend the coronial law to inform so that it was part of the duties of the coroner to collect this information and share it. We then should fund an independent research unit that is dedicated to analysing this information.
The families came together in Parliament this week to call for the changes.
More kids are just cannot keep that, and I don't think it's fair for any parent to lose their child this way, because this can be prevented at the end of the day.
The Ministry of Justice says it will carefully consider the recommendations. Next, they want to meet with senior ministers to have the law amended, a change they say will save lives. Helen Keenan, ITV News.
Still to come on the programme. Broken Bowl, the Borders fighting to save this 70s skate park, and
something's looking rather gorgeous round here. The leaves. But will the potentially strong wind and rain heading our way blow them off? Amongst other things, I'll have all the details very soon.
But first, a cyclist who nearly died from a brain injury after being hit by an e-bike has called for a change in the law after being left unable to claim compensation. Mohammed Ressam was using a cycle lane in Kingston when he collided with someone on a Forest e-bike, hitting his head on the pavement. He later discovered the company, unlike other bike firms, does not have the kind of insurance that would compensate him for his injuries. Rags Martel explains.
It's changed the way we travel. E-bikes are easy, green and convenient.
But when you get on a bike, insurance cover is probably the last thing you think about.
For Mohammed Ressam, one ride changed his life.
As you could see the video, you could see me coming from that side.
In May, he was cycling in Kingston when he was hit by an oncoming rider on a Forest bike.
It was terrible. It was like so painful. I got the scars here, which when they done surgery goes all the way around.
So he had a craniotomy.
So basically I was bleeding in my brain. I broke my ribs and fractured my bone here.
Despite colliding with a rider on a heavy Forest e-bike, the hire company say they're not required to make any insurance payout to Mohammed.
That's the worst thing about it. It's the cherry on the cake to all the injuries that he's had. And then on top of that, there's no insurance or anything that can, help him. And he didn't do anything wrong. He was riding his bike on the correct lane at the correct speed and then got hit by this person on a Forest bike that came out of nowhere and caused these really, really severe injuries, which he could have died from.
Forest Bikes told us that they do have public liability insurance, but it covers the bike only and not people.
The collision is now a legal dispute. Laura Swain is Mohammed's lawyer.
The biggest lesson for people, especially those who hire Forest bikes, is that you are liable should you cause an accident and you injure someone. If the person who had hit him was a wealthy individual, we would have a recourse against that wealthy individual.
If you were renting a bike outside, would you think twice about hiring a Forest bike?
Oh yes, I'd rent a Lime bike or a Santander bike.
In a statement, Forest told us they have comprehensive public liability insurance which covers incidents arising from a mechanical fault or failure of our bikes. Our focus is on maintaining our bikes to the highest possible safety standard. For Mohammed, recovery is slow, but it's a journey with Latifa by his side. Rags Martel, ITV News.
The Green Party leader Zach Polanski has told ITV News London he believes pro-Palestine marches should be able to continue, despite concerns from some Jewish Londoners. The London Assembly member said he defended the rights of those wanting to protest against the treatment of Palestinians in Gaza and did so as a Jewish politician.
It's really important that people are able to do their democratic right to be able to non-violently walk and protest and speak out on those things. I think more widely there's an issue around community cohesion, but one of my kind of proudest moments in London is when I see the Jewish community and the Muslim community side by side, recognising that anti-Semitism and Islamophobia are two sides of the same coin. When they come for one minority community, they come for all of us, and the best authentic response is solidarity.
Next tonight, carved in concrete and covered in graffiti, Kennington Skate Park might seem to have an unlikely claim to historic significance, but it's actually one of the first skate bowls in the country, dating back to the 1970s. The Kenny, as it's known, is also much loved by people in the area. That's why they're fighting for money to help restore the bowl. Money, they say, was promised to them. Here's Callum Fairhurst.
Skaters have visited Kennington Bowl for 5 decades. It's one of the UK's oldest skate parks, but time hasn't been kind to this concrete landmark, and now most of it is unsafe to use. Without repair, this piece of history could be gone forever.
It's an iconic skate park. It was built in the late 70s. It's almost unique. There were only 4 of this design built in the UK. And there are a lot of skaters, quite a lot of old skaters, who love this bowl and they want to retain it.
A campaign to save the skate park has got nearly 2,000 signatures. One skater who signed the petition is Ian, aka Davros, who first came here in 1980.
You've been coming here for quite a while, haven't you? What does it mean for you to be here?
Somewhere I can be and be myself. I've been skating this place for most of my life. I've always had a good session down here. It's a shame that it's just got into this sort of state, really, unfortunately. It's a piece of history that really needs preserving.
Campaigners say Lambeth Council had originally agreed to support the project, which will cost hundreds of thousands. But the council say they've been forced to make huge budget savings, and now all capital projects in Lambeth, including the skate park, have been paused. Lambeth Council say they'll update residents as soon as possible. Helena, who's a pro, thinks spaces like this are vital to the sport's growth.
I think it's really important to have spaces that are they're safe for you to go to hang out with your friends, to learn new tricks. And I think closing them off, it just is going to push you elsewhere. And it's just not great for the community, really.
Locals will find out about its future soon and whether there'll be another 5 decades of skateboarding at Kennington Bowl. Callum Fairhurst, ITV News.
Now, as a designer and musician, Pearl Lowe has long been an arbiter of style, an indicator of where the party's at. And in the 90s, when she was in a Britpop band of her own, the party was very much in Primrose Hill, with friends like Kate Moss, Sadie Frost and Jude Law. But 20 years ago, Pearl decided to shake off the party life and move away from London to the countryside. And it appears to have done her the world of good, because I'm pleased to say Pearl Lowe has returned with inspiration for the rest of us, and she's with me now. Thanks very much for coming in.
Oh, my pleasure.
So, was the pull of London just too strong? You had to come back?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. It was a lot of things, really. My youngest had flown the nest and gone to university, and my husband and I were just kind of thinking, we were a bit, not bored, but kind of, we felt like we were in retirement, and we just thought it would be nice to just get a little place in London and spend a few days a week there, and here rather.
And how's it working out so far? What's it like?
It's brilliant. I'm really enjoying it, actually. It's sort of, it's a complete contrast to the countryside, because, it's so lovely there and it's such a slow pace, and we spent the last 20 years just you know, walking the dogs and having a really lovely, tranquil life. And now it's kind of quite busy.
It's lovely to hear people coming back to London, though, you know what I mean? And now you've got a new chapter in your life back here in London, and you've written a new book.
I have.
Which, by the way, is absolutely gorgeous, I have to say. It's all about your interior design and all your talents there. And what's the thinking behind that, then?
Well, basically, I love faded things. I love things that are chipped and, you know, paint coming off and things that, you know, things that tell a story. So I love interiors where they're just sort of thrown together and they kind of work. And so I wanted to create a book that, you know, was that an urban kind of faded glamour. And so, yeah, when I told my publisher that we were getting a little place in London, she was just like, OK, let's write a book. Let's publish a book. And she said, oh, I booked it in for March. And I was like, oh, my God, I haven't even exchanged yet. Like, I haven't got time. Like, but anyway, it all kind of worked out. And
it's something you've always had a passion for. And your daughter, Daisy, has been involved in your business, hasn't she?
Yeah. Well, Daisy, very young, I got her to model for all my dresses because I make bespoke dresses and I have local seamstresses in Somerset and she models them. And then, you know, but she's always been there. You know, she's such an incredible support. So, well, we both are. We kind of, because we kind of grew up together. So we sort of help each other with our careers and things. But she's amazing.
Yeah. And of course, she met her partner. There's a lovely romantic story. She met her partner in Hampstead Heath, didn't she?
Yeah, I think he had his dog and it ran up to her dog and then they sort of, and then they've been together ever since. They got married in July, which was a wonderful experience. We had this lovely wedding in Somerset. I'm a grandma, which is amazing. She's 2.5 and she's this lovely little magical kind of feisty little girl called Ivy. And it's kind of mad.
Oh, that's lovely. So, I mean, your children have always been involved in your career, but kind of looking back to those times in the 90s, have you got what are your thoughts about it? Have you got any regrets about any of it?
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, we had such a laugh. I mean, I met my husband in Belgium because I went to a festival it was the one weekend I wasn't playing at a festival and I just got on this bus with this band Dodgy, do you remember Dodgy? And I just was like, they said they were going to Belgium and I was like, OK, I'm getting on your bus then. And I left a party at my flat in Primrose Hill and off I went thinking, and then I got there and I was like, what am I doing here? And anyway, it was just this field and I saw my husband and then that was it. We've been together 30 years and it was a mad old time. You know, we had a wonderful time, but I think I probably wouldn't be alive if I'd stayed.
I get that, right, okay.
So actually it was good that we got away and I've been in London I've been in Somerset ever since and it's been amazing, but now I've come back and I'm quite tired, so I can't really go to those parties anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And have you got any plans to move further east or are you sticking with Notting Hill?
Well, Notting Hill's great. I mean, we've got a tiny little flat and it's lovely and it's really cosy, although we can't fit all our kids in there. So they kind of argue about, we've got one spare room and they argue about who's going to have it. But yeah, at the moment, we're very much in Notting Hill and it's fun. You know, I've never lived in Notting Hill before, so
brilliant.
It's a new experience.
Well, thank you very much for coming in and all the very best of luck with the new book. It looks very nice.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, someone else who made the journey out to the country and seems to have no regrets is David Beckham. So much so, he's guest editing the magazine Country Life. In it, he talks about growing up in Chingford and how his experience of rural life was limited to camping in Epping Forest with the Scouts. Despite now having a big country home in the Cotswolds, Sir David tells the chef Tom Parker Bowles, the Queen's son, his last meal would still be pie, mash and jellied eels. A reminder, he says, of trips out to Islington's Chapel Market with his gran. Sally's here. Do you like jellied eels, Sally?
I've never had them.
Have you not?
I've had a snail and things like that, but it's just not really my bag. It's just, you know, I'd have a pie and mash any day and a bit, and I'd have that school cake, the one with the, yes, I'd eat that, and the custard. Yes, sweet tooth, bring it on.
We need to brace ourselves for the weather, don't we?
Oh, I'm afraid it's going a bit downhill tonight and into tomorrow. We've got some warnings in place. The French Met Office have named the storm that's heading our way, Benjamin. So yeah, getting a bit grotty over the next few hours. Let's take a little look. Here we go.
Come rain or shine, Octopus Energy sponsors ITV London weekday weather.
Hello again. I hope you had a lovely day. There was some sunshine spotted. How beautiful. Hopefully you got to see it. We are going to see things decline tonight. That heavy rain moves in, and tomorrow the wet weather is joined by windy weather as well, and it will be feeling colder too and into the weekend. Let's take a little look at the pressure chart, and you can see that the French name Storm Benjamin is heading in tonight, bringing with it that rain, and then tomorrow that wind comes in as well. It could well be disruptive. There's yellow warnings in place for both the wind and the rain, so definitely keep an eye on the forecast, see how it develops, because there could still be some changes. But let's take a look at the detail now. As we go through tonight, you can see that rain coming up from the south, quite heavy bursts on it, pretty persistent, and the reason why it could be a bit of an issue is that there could be some leaves that have blocked drains, surface water on the roads, etc., perhaps even some localised flooding. So not very pleasant as we go into tomorrow. Temperatures won't be too cold, but they're not going to rise too much either. So there we go, a pretty miserable start, and then as we go through the morning, those winds pick up as well. Could see gusts of 55 to 65 miles per hour, looking at the strongest gusts out to the east. Now into the afternoon, as you can see, a gradual improvement, but not guaranteed. There could still be further showers heading your way, and with that cold northerly wind, highs of 10 to 12 degrees might just feel a little bit cooler than that. For the evening, if you're heading out, still the risk of some showers, so watch out for those, but eventually they and the wind ease off a bit. Still quite breezy for Friday, but more settled. It will be feeling cooler though throughout the next few days. Take care.
Octopus Energy sponsors ITV London weekday weather.
Sally, that's a very disappointing weather forecast.
Not what you asked for. Sorry, Carolyn.
It's not, and I was just thinking how beautiful it was this morning and how beautiful it is looking around.
I know. Thank goodness we had a little bit of calm today. I mean, it really sort of has been the calm before a bit of a storm. The leaves are looking absolutely lovely. We had a bit of a false autumn when we had so much dry, warm weather, but it's come back and it's looking great. So we have got a little piece to celebrate those wonderful colours, and let's just hope they hold on after tomorrow. Here we go.
Summer is great, but autumn is the season for London.
That is the perfect autumn dog. It is autumn, isn't it?
Yeah, he's got all the shades, I think, of the leaves.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really beautiful because we usually come here for work every month. So we've been seeing the season change.
And your dog has an autumnal collar.
Yes,
nice
he's
one.
got a seasonal wardrobe and he gets lots of compliments from the locals. Yeah.
Nature certainly knows how to put on a show, but have you ever wondered why some years are more vibrant than others? During spring and summer, leaves are full of a green pigment called chlorophyll. It's what helps trees turn sunlight into food. But after the autumn equinox, the trees sense the reduction in daylight and begin to shut down for winter. As the chlorophyll fades, the other pigments that are always there, the yellows, oranges, reds and purples, finally get their moment to shine.
And it's all down to the weather. Sunny autumn days speed up the breakdown of chlorophyll, while cool nights encourage those purples and reds to deepen. But too much frost or drought or strong winds and the leaves can fall before the colours even appear.
But it's not just the colours that stand out this year. There's been a bumper crop of seeds, nuts and berries, known as a mast year.
A mast year is when trees, all in synchrony across the UK, produce a larger than average crop of fruits. And the reason why trees do this is so that the seeds have a good chance of surviving to produce offspring for the tree.
But we'd better make the most of the colour. The wet and windy weather will help some of this delight disappear for another year. Sally Williams, ITV News, Primrose Hill.
Lovely. And that's it from us. The evening news is next with Mary. But for now, from all of us on the London team, have a good evening. Bye-bye.